So let's get back into this video, because I know I promised you guys a video on my Amber saga. So let me give you guys a little backstory on Amber. You know, her background is not squeaky clean, but hey, this girl is going through a lot because of the company that she decides to keep. So with her friend, Shady Shayla, I don't know how they met, but Amber and I met back in high school. You know, when I first started doing this beautician thing, Amber was like my guinea pig. You know, she let me do her hair. You know, I gave her her first perm. I actually burnt her hair out. So this is why her hair is permanently short now, because, hey, I didn't know what I was doing. I was 16. And in my defense, Amber's hair was short anyway. Amber was a small head, bald head. She never had a lot of hair anyway. So I did burn her hair out. But, you know, after that, we became really cool. We were friends before that. You know, we became really cool. So now she comes to me, I do her hair, you know, even though she's bald because of me, but still, that's my friend. So let's get back into this Amber Shayla issue. So Amber and Shayla, they've been friends, I want to say, for about maybe like 4 years, because Shayla just popped up on the Atlanta scene, you know, and her and Amber, you know, start hanging out only because Amber was dating Arby's cousin. I'm sorry, Amber was dating Arby's brother, Shane. So Amber was dating Shane, and for some reason, her and Shayla became really cool, and you know, they became really good friends. So after Amber broke up with Shane, mind you, Shane, you know, was this big time movie star that she was dating, but Shane never wanted to take Amber out. So Shane always had Amber stuck in the house. So Amber was like this hide-a-side piece chick. That's what I would call her, hide-a-side piece. Because he never took her out anywhere. They never went anywhere together. Everything was always in the house. Always in the house. So Amber and Shayla became really cool because the only way Shane would take Amber out is when Amber was when they would do like a double date with his brother, Arby. So that's the only way that Shane would take Amber out. You know, he was hiding her, didn't want to be seen with her. I don't know why he was hiding her, but that's how Amber and Shayla became really good friends. So after they became really good friends, you know, Shayla started dating Arby, you know, and then so once they started dating, you know, Shayla is very possessive. She's always like, my man, my man, my man, my man. So let's get back to Amber. So once Amber and Shane broke up, so they broke up, well, can't even say they were really together, but they stopped seeing each other. Amber, you know, grew a backbone and stopped seeing him, stopped letting him treat her any type of way. So she broke up with Shane, and then Amber ended up meeting Anthony because Shane did business with Anthony. So Shane felt bad, you know, after him and Amber, you know, I guess if you want to call it a breakup. So Anthony found this bar. He wanted to do a deal. He wanted to go in, you know, buy the bar and take it over because the owners were having issues. So they asked Shane to come in on the business deal, and Shane was like, no, I don't want to do that. So Amber and Anthony end up going in on that business deal. You know, that was a good deal for both of them. They end up going in on that business deal. They bought out the owners, and so now they own a bar. And you know, as they were going through, you know, getting this bar, they ended up dating, you know, so they ended up dating, falling in love. And then in the midst of Amber and Anthony dating, Shane found out that Anthony and Amber were dating. Now Shane wants to come back into the picture. You know, he wants to start showing Amber attention. So Amber ends up cheating with Shane on Anthony. So the whole while Amber and Anthony were together, they ended up getting engaged and everything. So through their whole, I guess, 6 or 8 month engagement, Amber was cheating with Shane. She was seeing him on the regular. And mind you, Anthony and Shane were still doing business together. They were still, buying property, selling and flipping property. So the whole while of Amber and Anthony's engagement, she was cheating with Shane. And Shady Shayla knew what was going on. She kind of found out because she went over to Shane's house because her Arby is his brother. So Shayla goes over to Shane's house and sees Amber's car there. And she was like, what is Amber's car doing here? So long story short, she ended up, seeing that Amber was still messing with Shane. So, doing all this, Amber's still messing with Shane. She's still engaged to Anthony, still kicking it with Anthony. So Shane takes this whole cheating relationship to another level. Amber has her condo, Amber has a really, really nice condo. So Shane did not want Amber coming to the house because he does business with Anthony all the time. They do business together, and when they do business, have business meetings, they have them in Shane's house. So Shane was like, Shayla caught us. It's going to be easy for Anthony to catch us if he ever comes around. So Shane decided to go to Amber's building and buy him a condo in her building. So this is cheating taken to a whole new level. So now Shane is living in Amber's building. So it makes it really easy for Shane to have access to Amber. So they continue with the cheating. At one while, Shane was coming over to Amber's apartment to cheat. So he went over there, to cheat with her. And just so happened, Anthony pops up, Amber's fiance. He pops up, he calls her. He was like, hey, babe, I'm downstairs in the lobby. Did you forget, we had a date? She was like, oh my gosh. So she tells Shane, Anthony is downstairs. So before Shane could even try to get out the apartment, Anthony pops up and knocks on the door. So, Amber goes and opens the door. She tells Shane, you gotta hide. So Shane hides, and and Amber hurries up, gets dressed, jumps out the bed with, Shane, and she hurries up and get dressed. And the whole time, Shane is hiding in Amber's apartment. And Anthony, is waiting for Amber. Hey, babe, hurry up and get dressed. So Shane is hiding. And so Amber hurries up and gets dressed, jumps out of bed, gets dressed real quick, and, makes up an excuse. Come on, babe, we gotta go, because Anthony was like, hey, let's just hang out here for a minute. Which, they couldn't hang out because Shane was hiding in the apartment. So once they left, Amber texts Shane and said, hey, you can leave now. We're gone. So, Shane comes out of hiding. He's in the apartment. He comes out of hiding. And then Amber and Anthony were still downstairs in the garage. So Shane, goes downstairs to the garage thinking that Amber and Anthony are gone. They are not gone. They were just sitting down there chit-chatting because they had seen some people they knew. They were sitting down there chit-chatting. So Anthony sees Shane and says, hey man, what's up? What you doing, in my girl's building? He was like, I'm doing a business up in here. And mind you, Mike lives in that building too. He was like, I was just here to see my boy Mike. I was just, going to see my boy Mike. I went up to his apartment and he wasn't there. So I'm going to go home. Anthony was like, oh, okay. Played it off. So at that point, they knew that, if we're going to keep this up, we're going to have to, find a place to cheat. So that's when Shane was like really, really interested in getting that condo in Amber's building. So he got that condo in Amber's building, And the cheating continued. They continued to cheat. And, you know, not a lot of people knew that Shane had an apartment in that building. So they continued to cheat the whole time up until, I guess Amber got a conscience. Up until the day of the wedding, Amber told Shane, she was like, well, I can't keep cheating with you. I can't keep doing this. I'm about to marry this man. He's the love of my life. I can't keep doing this with you. So she told him. This was like on their wedding day. Amber was in bed with Shane on her wedding day. She told Shane, I'm not going to cheat with you anymore. This is it. I'm not doing it. So this is our farewell rump. So he was like, okay. Mind you, Shane was invited to the wedding. So on her wedding day, you know, she was with Shane. You know, they got their one last little rump. So on Amber's wedding day, you know, she goes, stands up in the church, get married. Shane is sitting there, and her and Anthony are up there doing their vows. I'm like, this is just straight up crazy. She's getting married, but the night before your wedding, on your wedding day, she was up there laying up with Shane. I'm like, this is crazy. So she vowed to Shane, she said, hey, I'm not going to be seeing you anymore after I get married. I'm going to be an honest woman. I'm like, wow, that's just crazy. So on her wedding day, she got married. And, you know, after that, she did not have any more dealings with Shane. She told Shane, I'm going to be a married woman. I'm going to be an honest woman. You know, you're not going to get me anymore. I'm not going to do this. So she ended up, you know, being faithful, you know, to her husband, which she still thought about Shane a lot, but she never acted on it. And still, Shane, the whole time, Shane was still doing business with Anthony, coming over to his house, doing business. So that's the backstory with that. And then, like, after all that went down, what happened was how Anthony found out that Amber was cheating with Shane was Shady Shayla. She was jealous of Amber's life. She was jealous that Amber had this nice big house. She had a man that loved her and cared about her. And she did not like the fact that Amber had got away with cheating on her husband. So Shayla ends up telling Anthony, after she started having that affair with Anthony, she ends up telling Anthony that Amber cheated on him all the way up until the day of their wedding. Yes, she did. Amber's best friend told that, hey, your girl has been having an affair with Shane. So when Anthony found out about it, he hit the roof. You know, he approached Amber. He was like, hey, word on the street is that you were cheating with Shane. You know, Shane is like my brother. He's my business partner. You know, I don't have a lot of family, and I take my friendships very serious. So you were cheating the whole time of our engagement, and you even were in the bed with this man on our wedding day. And Amber couldn't deny it. She didn't know how he found out about it, and he had vowed never to tell that Shady Shayla told him about it. So now Amber has to deal with the fact that her husband knows that, you know, she cheated on him, which I think they were only like a couple of months into their marriage when Shady Shayla started messing with Anthony. And the only reason Shady Shayla told was because Anthony was trying to break things off with her. He was like, you know, what we're doing, this not right. You know, if my wife ever found out, you know, you're her best friend, you know, this is not right. And Shayla was like, what you mean? You trying to break this off with me? You know, you thinking about your wife, and, you know, she was over there cheating with your so-called best friend business partner. So when he found out, like I said, he was pissed. He hit the ceiling. You know, he rushed home, confronted Amber about it, and Amber was like, how do you know? He was like, never mind how I know. Why would you do this to me? You know, I loved you. You're my wife. So Anthony was pissed off. You know, he was trying to file for a divorce, and Amber wouldn't let him. She, you know, she confessed to everything. And what really pissed him off was the fact that on the wedding day, that morning she was with Shane, and that really pissed Anthony off. So Anthony ended up, being so upset with Amber. I mean, he was really pissed off at her. I mean, he went through a phase where he treated her like dirt. I mean, he treated her awful. And, she was like, oh, I deserve him, treating me like this because I cheated on him and this, that, and the third. So Amber, Anthony kept trying to file for divorce. And Amber was like, no, we're not gonna file for divorce. You're my husband. This is my marriage. I'm gonna fight for this. So in the meanwhile, Anthony is still cheating with Shayla. They've taken this cheating to a whole nother level. So they're still cheating, and Amber is thinking, oh, my husband is so distant because he knew that I cheated on him. Husband was so distant because he was cheating with your best friend. So all this cheating is going on. Anthony is still running to Shayla, telling her everything that's going on with him and Amber. And then too, Amber is telling Shayla everything that's going on too. So Shayla is getting both sides of the story. Like I said, Shayla is a low-down dirty dog. So I don't know how she can call herself Amber's best friend, but she's cheating with her husband. She has a baby, supposedly has a baby with Amber's husband. But my thing is this, I'm like, with friends like Shayla, you don't need no enemies. You don't need not one enemy, because it is ridiculous how she treats Amber. And every time, Amber says something about Anthony, oh, Shayla's always side-eyeing everything she says. So it took Anthony and Amber probably about 6 months to get back to where they were before. He finally forgave her. They went to counseling. They did everything, and he finally forgave her. And Shayla really thought that Anthony was going to leave Amber, but he didn't. Amber, stuck to her guns, and she was like, this is my husband. I believe that, once you're married, you're supposed to stay married. So she ended up, getting her man, keeping her man, and they stayed married. So this is why this anniversary trip was so important to Amber. So important. So they ended up, going on a little anniversary trip. And a little backstory on Amber when, she got pregnant. So when Shayla got pregnant, Amber was trying to get pregnant way before Shayla got pregnant. So Amber and Anthony were trying. So when Shayla got pregnant, Amber was like, wow, you get pregnant, no problem. I've been trying for the longest to get pregnant, and me and my husband can't get pregnant. And, Shayla was, so happy that she was pregnant by Anthony, which she was still trying to pass. She was still telling everybody that this is Arby's baby. So once Shayla got pregnant and everything, Amber was like, oh my God, you can get pregnant. You're not even married. I can't get pregnant. I'm doing everything right, and you get pregnant by accident. So, they got tested. Anthony and Amber got tested. They had no problems, with having kids. It just wasn't their time. So Amber ended up, getting pregnant, and she lost a baby. I think they went through 3 or 4 times of her getting pregnant, losing a baby, and then she finally got pregnant again. And she carried the baby about maybe 3 months, and that's when she ended up losing the baby. And so that sent Amber into like a downward spiral when she lost that baby, because she was like, oh, me and Shayla, we're going to be moms together, we're going to raise our children together. So Shayla's still pregnant the whole time. And when Amber lost her baby, Amber was like, oh, it's my fault. I lost this baby, because I was cheating on my husband. I'm an awful wife. She started, beating herself up and blaming herself. And then so at this time, Amber, she was down and out. She turned to the bottle. She started, drinking a lot. And then, she had to get herself back on track. Once she got back on track, she started thinking about, if I can't have a baby, I want a baby, what can I do? So that's when they found out about adoption. So she went on, applied for the adoption. And, the adoption was fast-tracked because, hey, they got a little money. So the adoption was fast-tracked. So that's how they end up getting little David. And the whole while, Shayla and Anthony were still they were still, you know, messing around. And Shayla was all up in Anthony's ear, you know, telling him, you don't want this baby. You know, how can you, you know, be a father to some adopted baby, and this is your baby, you know, right here. You know, Shayla was so against Anthony and Amber adopting this little boy. So she had got to the point where she had got in Anthony's ear. And before they got, a day before they got that baby, Anthony was telling Amber, oh, you know, I don't think we should adopt a baby, and blah, blah this and blah, blah that. And Amber was like, no, this is going to happen. We are adopting this baby. So they brought little David by for a visit. And instantly Amber fell in love with little David. And the lady was like, hey, because of, you know, who your husband is, you know, who you are, we can fast track this adoption. So they ended up fast tracking that adoption. And then, you know, Anthony was still acting up, you know, like he was having doubts. Only reason he was having doubts is because Shayla, you know, didn't want Amber to be happy. Shayla wanted Anthony to only have one son, you know, her son. So they end up, you know, bringing the baby home, and Amber was like, hey, Anthony, you know, remember we talked about, you know, you wanted little David to have your name. They were talking about changing David's name to little Anthony the third, you know, and giving them, you know, their last name and everything. So after Shayla still up in Anthony's ear, telling him, you don't want this baby with your last name, and, you know, you're going to name this baby little Anthony the third, you know, you don't want all this. So Anthony, he's very easily influenced. Shayla, you know, end up talking him into not giving little David, you know, his name, because they were going to change his name. His name was going to be little Anthony the third. And so, you know, when it came down time to change the name, Anthony tells Amber, oh, I don't want this little boy with my name. You know, what if he has my name and it tarnishes him, you know, making all kind of stupid excuses. And Amber was like, no, you know, we talked about this. You said that you wanted little David to have your name. This is your son, your only child, your first son. You wanted him to have your name. And he was like, yeah, well, you know, I changed my mind. So as of right now, little David's name is still David. There has not been a name change as of yet, but Amber is still pushing, you know, for that name change. But she told Anthony, you are going to put him, you know, in your will. And that's what he did. So Shayla's pissed off about this whole situation, about this, you know, little boy. And she's like, the only person that needs to be in your will is Kai. And Anthony's like, how can I put Kai in my will? How can I sign Kai's birth certificate? You know I'm married. And this is the work that this $150 curling iron does. Not much. It doesn't get hot at all. So thanks for watching, you guys. Subscribe.